What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some insane battles in the Fossil Cup running a double rock backline. Now this is a pretty similar team to the triple rock team I ran a few seasons ago, except I'm running Hisuian Arcanine instead of Macargo for a bit more fast move pressure, and of course instead of Credilli in the lead I've got Golisopod. Now to be completely honest, there are a lot of core breakers to this team, including Lantern and Pelipper, so I definitely think Credilli would have worked a lot better, but despite that I was still able to pick up some insane wins. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is the best rock type for the Fossil Cup meta? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we need Golisopod into Ferrothorn. Now with a Ferrothorn lead, it is so important that you save swap into Lycanroc, because typically you're going to see a double water backline. Most of the time it is a double mud boy backline, but in this case it's going to be a Lantern coming in. They've already grabbed a shield advantage, but I will be able to make it to back-to-back Psychic Fangs, and if nothing else I will be able to double debuff their defense, making it a little bit easier for my Golisopod to take them out. Now the opponent doesn't actually overfarm that much. Honestly, the counters would be chunking quite a fair bit. Now I come in with the Golisopod, we barely make it to the X-Scissor in time. As they're reaching the Thunderbolt, X-Scissor takes out the Lantern, but the opponent's got a Pelipper as the third Pokemon, so this is not looking good, but it does mean my Arcanine will potentially be aligned to their Ferrothorn, but I still have to get rid of the Pelipper. I'm going to let the move go through. The opponent full sends the Hurricane, taking out Golisopod, but they expend a ton of energy. They swap back into Ferrothorn to clear the debuff on their defense, but it's going to be too late for the opponent as I'm able to shield once. They are not quite at the back-to-back Weather Balls, so I'm able to Fire Fang, farm down the Pelipper, and somehow I just beat a double water team with Lantern and Pelipper with this team, so GG's to that opponent. Into the next battle, awful lead once again, and we're going to save swap into Lycanroc, and this is the great thing about Lycanroc up against the Mud Boys, specifically when they are Shadow. I think a regular Whiscash or a regular Quagsire, this won't quite work, but if the opponent lets the first Psychic Fangs through, you will guarantee to flip switch advantage in the two shield scenario, and I'm happy to expend both of my shields so that I can align my Hisuian Arcanine up against that Skarmory in the lead, because that is a very positive matchup. So I'm able to get the farm down, and the opponent is going to wait out the switch clock, come in with a Ludicolo. We just barely make it to the Psychic Fangs before they farm us down. Now it doesn't do much damage. We come in with Golisopod, the opponent swaps into the Skarmory, and I'm now able to come in with my Hisuian Arcanine. I can let this move go through. I've got no shield, so I have to anyways, and Brave Bird, even resisted, does a ton of damage, but we come out with a charge move loaded, so I can go for the rock side straight away. The opponent lets it go through as they know X-Scissor would be super effective, but it puts them into range where I can easily Shadow Claw, farm down the Ludicolo, and take that game. So into the next battle, we see Golisopod into Shadow Mawile. Now I do have two slightly better responses, but I don't save swap straight away, and I'm very happy that I didn't, because they come in with a Pelipper. Now I've already said this already, but Pelipper is going to be a very difficult core breaker to beat, but the opponent, it looks like they throw on CMP here, and X-Scissor grabs a shield from the Pelipper. Now I'm really hoping they don't have a double water backline as well, but I'm going to swap out into my Lycanroc, and they will be able to make it to a Weather Ball in time, but I should make it to the Psychic Fangs on the CMP tie with the next Weather Ball, and this will be either grabbing the shield or taking them out. It does grab the shield, and now from this health I should just about live a Weather Ball, and I will be able to fully counter, farm down the Pelipper from this range, and the opponent is going to come in with a Ludicolo. So this is not the best situation, but all shields are down on my opponent's end. Ludicolo very slow to get to the charge move, so I will be able to make it to the rock side, and now I've not got much health remaining, but I do double resist the Fire Fangs coming from the Shadow Mawile, and they are non-stab, so I will be able to just fully Fire Fang, farm down the Shadow Mawile from this range. They go for the Power Punch, doesn't matter, I get the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see an Escavalier in the lead, so a pretty decent matchup. The opponent save swaps into Dragon Breath Gyarados. Now another core breaker to the team. Not really sure what to do here. We go for the liquidation, and that does quite a lot of damage. I'm going to let this move go through, calling an Aqua Tail bait, but it's actually the crunch. Now I commit to the X-Scissor, and we don't get the new mechanic there, meaning we do unfortunately get fully farmed down. I don't get off the X-Scissor, so that actually puts me back quite a bit. We're now going to shield the Aqua Tail, go for the counter farm down. and the opponent comes back in with the Escavalier. I'm going to go straight for a crunch. The opponent calls the bait there. I swap into Arcanine, but they've got a Lantern with 2 shields in the back, and there was nothing I could do there, unfortunately. And I do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent. Into the next battle, we see a Shadow Swampert in the lead now. What you're not going to see too much is me swapping my Arcanine into Escavalier, and that's because I played these battles really late at night, and you need really fast reactions if you want to flip that matchup without having to use a shield, because it does take 6 Fire Fangs to take out the Escavalier, and it only takes 7 counters to make it to the drill run. So if I don't swap out after 1 counter, then I'm actually going to have to use a shield, which I don't really want to do. But here I'm able to swap, catch the charge move there onto my Arcanine, and now I can come in with my Lycanroc, and the opponent comes in with the Shadow Swampert. This is fine with me. We can go for the Psychic Fangs, and this will be debuffing their defense. They do use a shield. It doesn't really matter at this point. I'm going to use another shield here. I shield up the Hydro Cannon using my final shield, and I go for the Psychic Fangs on the CMP tie with the Swampert, and it takes out the Swampert. The opponent lets it go through, and now I will easily make it to the Crunch, just to guarantee that if they do let this go through, Crunch will be taking out the Registeel, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, and we did go 4-1 in my first set. Into the next battle, we see Golisopod into another Skarmory, so gonna say swap into my Lycanroc, and here we're seeing the Whiscash. So this unfortunately is a matchup where I don't think we do win the 2-shield scenario, even if they do let the Psychic Fangs go through. So I'm gonna shield this up, I'm gonna play it out anyways, and we'll just see how it does turn out. So gonna go for another Psychic Fangs here into this opponent, and they actually let it go through. So now I will definitely win this matchup, but I'm going to be 2 shields down, but I'm just happy to do so because Skarmory gets absolutely walled by my Hisuian Arcanine, and they do have a second Mudboy in the back. So we go for the Psychic Fangs there. The opponent is going to overfarm just a little bit, and they are going to go for the Mud Bomb, taking out my Lycanroc, but actually a 2-shielded Quagsire is very scary indeed. We're going to go for the X-Scissor here, trying to make sure they don't catch it onto the Skarmory. We grab the shield, and the opponent overfarms massively, and they catch the next one onto the Skarmory. Now, what I can do here is actually overfarm in this matchup, but the issue I had is that I wasn't quite sure if they swapped out after 1 Air Slash or 2 Air Slashes, so I didn't take the risk. I went after 3 Air Slashes there, as I thought maybe they'd have the Sky Attack. That means I don't have a liquidation banked, and an X-Scissor from this range won't quite not be enough to take them out from this range. So it just depends. Do they have 100 energy? They throw the charge move straight away. If it's a Stone Edge, which it is, it takes out my Golisopod, and unfortunately I do lose that game. So if I paid more attention at the start of the battle and made sure that it was the Skarmory that only got 1 Air Slash through, then I could have banked the liquidation before swapping out, and I would have been able to win the CMP tie and take that game. But into the next battle, we see Registeel in the lead, and the opponent's not swapping out for whatever reason. Perhaps they are weak to Lycanroc in the back. We go for the Crunch, we take them out, and they've got a Pelipper. Now we could be running the Stone Edge here, so I'm going to go for the Psychic Fangs bait, grabbing a shield, and then we win the CMP tie here as well. And with the debuff, Crunch is going to do a ton of damage to the Pelipper, and I can safely let the Lycanroc go down. Wither Ball does take me out, but now I can actually come in with my Golisopod. The opponent swaps into their Sand Slash. We've got a great response in Arcanine. The opponent has probably just quit the game here, and they've just closed the game actually completely, not even having it open, and we're able to fully Fire Fang, farm down the Pelipper, and take that game. So into the next battle, we see Pelipper in the lead once again. So if I was running Credilli in the lead, then we'd actually have quite a few positive lead matchups, but unfortunately like this is not great, and we kind of have to stay in because of course they are doing super effective damage with the wing attacks, but if we swap out, they will be able to outpace my Lycanroc to the charge moves, and obviously a Weather Ball would completely one-shot an Arcanine, so I'm going to let this move go through. They bait with the Weather Ball, and now I have to swap out as they would be able to farm me down. We do have a shield advantage, but I have to use the shield straight away. They now come in with an Escavalier, and we're going to go for a Crunch. Psychic Fangs would debuff their defense, but it wouldn't be able to take them out, so I do go for the Crunch. Maybe it would have been better to just go for the Psychic Fangs, and then I could have potentially got to a second one and if they weren't sharp with their reactions, I could have just sniped them with the Fire Fang, but unfortunately that's not how it turns out. So we go here, we swap, we catch the charge move. I was keeping track of the energy on this Pelipper, and now the opponent swaps into Lucario. I have to go for the wild charge straight away. These wing attacks, even though they are resisted, they are now going to chunk, but can I win the fast move beatdown race? No, the opponent makes it to one final Weather Ball. Weather Ball takes out the Arcanine, and I do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Golisopod into Ferrothorn once again. So once again, gonna say swap into my Lycanroc, and the opponent responds with a Shadow Swampert. Now this is the easiest matchup of the Mud Boys, especially when they let the first move go through, because actually I can shield once and they're not even gonna make it to a second Hydro Cannon, because my counter takes them out there, and I have a Psychic Fangs loaded. They come in with a Quagsire now, so Quagsire is not gonna appreciate the Psychic Fangs either. We go for another Psychic Fangs here, and they will finally start using a shield, I believe. They do use the shield, but they will be able to farm me down, which is not that great. Of course, a Stone Edge would easily take us out here, so I'm gonna use a shield. It is the Stone Edge, and now I can just come in with my Arcanine. I will be able to fully Fire Fang, farm down the Ferrothorn from this range, and yes, it's not great for the opponent there. I get the full Fire Fang farm down, and I'm able to Fire Fang, farm down the Quagsire as well, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Politoed in the lead, so pretty good lead. We do resist everything they could potentially run, and the opponent swaps into a Galarian Stunfisk. Now I've got to be wary of the rock side. What I'm going to try and do is catch randomly here, but the opponent very disciplined, holding on to the energy, expecting a potential catch, and now they can full send the Earthquake, grabbing a shield advantage against my Lycanroc, but I do get the counter farm down. I'm going to go for a Psychic Fang straight away here, and this is not going to do much damage. Perhaps I could have farmed up a little bit extra, but honestly I couldn't remember how much energy they had, so I just play it safe, go for the Psychic Fangs, and the opponent takes me out here. They don't overfarm too much, but they did overfarm, and they swap now into Registeel. So I'm going to go for a Liquidation here, and Liquidation will grab the shield from the opponent. We're now going to swap, and hopefully I caught a Zap Cannon here, and it is the Zap Cannon. Focus Blast would be one-shotting the Arcanine, but now I'm kind of forcing them to throw their energy. They do exactly that, and they are in range where I can just easily farm up to the back-to-back Liquidations, and from this range, Liquidation should be enough damage to take them out. But if they do choose to use a shield, that's absolutely fine. They actually no-shield it, and now all I have to do is make it to back-to-back X-Scissors, and the Shadow Claws should be enough to add up where it will put them into full farm down range. So we go for the first X-Scissor, the opponent lets it go through, we get the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Golisopod into Shadow Quagsire. Now, of all the Mud Boys, Shadow Quagsire is the most difficult one to face, because of course Stone Edge would be hitting for massive super effective damage into Golisopod, whereas Blizzard and Hydro Cannons and Earthquakes and Mud Bombs and whatever from the Whiscash or the Swampert are all resisted. Now we're going to go and farm to the potential CMP tie here, and honestly this kind of just baits them into using a shield, and I don't really want that. I'd rather just take them out. So perhaps if you're playing out this matchup, you should throw just before we reach the CMP tie, just to give them less of an incentive to use a shield. But here they come in with the Pelipper, we go for the Liquidation, getting the defense drop, and the opponent throws their energy pretty much straight away. So we are going to go for the X-Scissor here, and then I'm going to swap into my Lycanroc. I don't want to get fully farmed down, and the opponent will be able to make it to a Weather Ball, but we've seen already from full health we do just about live a Weather Ball, and I will be able to counter farm them down. But the opponent comes in with Escavalier, and notice I didn't go for the Psychic Fang straight away. I did throw an extra counter, and you're going to see that actually makes a massive difference in this matchup, because now I come in with the Arcanine. We don't quite get the snipe there, as they do make it to the Drill Run. Drill Run takes out the Arcanine, we get the farm down, but the Pelipper is going to be able to just barely outpace me with the fast move damage, taking out the Golisopod, and we do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent, very close game. And into the next battle, we see Pelipper in the lead once again. So once again, you can see Golisopod, it is actually a pretty good Pokemon, but I just wouldn't recommend it in this team specifically. But here once again we are able to win the CMP tie with the Pelipper. I don't know if this is IV dependent, because I've actually got a pretty rubbish IV well, actually my entire team's got pretty rubbish IVs, but we're able to simultaneous KO the opponent trying to get greedy, go for the full farm down, and we end up simultaneously KOing there, and they've got a Shadow Steelix in the back. Now I'm going to let this move go through, just going to be a Psychic Fangs. I'm expecting potentially double Steel in the back, so I'm going to go for the Crunch here, just guarantee big damage or a shield. We get the shield, and now we come in with the Fire Fang Arcanine. They're staying in, they're going to go for a Psychic Fangs. I'm just going to shield this up. It could be like an Escavalier in the back, but no, it's actually a Registeel, so this is fine with me as well. Gonna let this move go through, sorry, not let it go through, but I'm not going to throw straight away. They go for the Focus Blast there, not going for the Zap Cannon debuff, and now I can make it to the back-to-back Rock Slides, and even though they're resisted, with the Fire Fang damage, we've easily put them into range where a Rock Slide will be enough damage to take out the Registeel, and now I can Fire Fang, farm down the Steelix, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Ferrothorn in the lead. So once again, gonna save swap into my Lycanroc, and you're gonna see here up against a regular Quagsire. This is where this matchup isn't as easy because unfortunately in the 2-shield scenario, if my opponent does want to double shield, they will be able to regain switch advantage, and that's just so important in a matchup like this because I can almost guarantee it's gonna be a second Mud Boy in the back. So here I am gonna fight desperately for the switch advantage. They go for the Mud Bomb. We try to get the counter farm down, but we are just one counter away from doing so. They get to the Mud Bomb, so I have to throw on CMP, and they weren't at 1 HP either, so it doesn't KO through the shield. They do regain switch advantage, and now I'm going to come in with my Golisopod. The good thing is that Golisopod doesn't have the worst matchup up against the Ferrothorn, meaning I don't have to swap out straight away, and what I'm going to do here is go for an X-Scissor and then try to catch the charge move onto my Hisuian Arcanine. So we go for the X-Scissor here, and X-Scissor does some okay damage. We swap into Arcanine, we get the Fire Fang through, and that's going to be really important later in this game. They full send the Thunder, they come in with the Shadow Swampert, they get the full Mudshot farm down, we come in with the Golisopod, we go for the Liquidation on the CMP tie with the Earthquake. It does connect, but it doesn't take them out here, and now Earthquake is going to be resisted, but it does big damage. We get the Shadow Claw farm down, and we will make it to the X-Scissor, but I don't believe this is going to be enough damage from this range to take them out. And it is just not quite enough damage there. So Ferrothorn is able to Bullet Seed farm me down and take that game. Into the next game, we see a Quagsire in the lead. The opponent safe swaps into Lucario. Now, even though I've got 2 Pokemon that deal super effective damage to Lucario in the back, Lucario also deals super effective damage to them, so I'm actually going to stay in this matchup. They bait with a Power Punch, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to go for the Liquidation here, and this should be just taking out the Lucario there, so I'm able to take that matchup there, and the opponent's going to come back in with the Shadow Quagsire. Honestly, with the counter damage, they've put me into range where a Mud Bomb will pretty much take me out here, so that's not ideal, but the opponent does let that move go through, so I'm going to let this move go through as well. Mud Bomb does take me out. We're going to come in with the Lycanroc, and they come in with the Ludicolo, so I'm actually going to come in with my Arcanine, going to go for the Rock Slide straight away, and just guarantee I grab the shield here, or get rid of the Ludicolo. They do use the shield, and I put them into perfect farm down range here, that I'm actually going to be able to go for the shield once, shielding up the Energy Ball, and I will actually come out with a Crunch loaded. Not 100% sure if the Psychic Fangs does take them out from this range, but Crunch will certainly take out the Quagsire, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Golisopod into Swampert, so a very good lead for Golisopod. I'm going to see if they try to make a catch there. They swap into the Escavalier. We're going to go for the Liquidation, grabbing a shield, and we go for the second Liquidation as well. This is going to do a lot of damage if they let it through, which they do, and then we swipe, sorry, we don't swipe, we snipe with the Hisuian Arcanine, but we're just going to give it this Swampert a ton of farm before they eventually go for the Hydro Cannon. Now the switch lock is very much misaligned, so I'm going to come in with the Golisopod, and the opponent is staying in initially. They come in with a Registeel. Luckily, very little fast move pressure from this Registeel, so we can go for a Liquidation, and we do get the defense drop as well. We go for a second Liquidation, and the switch lock is just about coming up. I'm going to go for one extra move, and then swap, catch the charge move onto my Lycanroc, and from this range, Focus Blast, gonna one-shot the Lycanroc, but it doesn't matter. We put them into range where we can fully Shadow Claw, farm them down. We come out with a Liquidation loaded. The opponent is gonna call the bait there, but Liquidation does take out the Swampert, and we take that game. Into the next battle, we see Ferrothorn in the lead once again. So once again, gonna save swap into my Lycanroc, and the opponent responds with a regular Swampert. So we can actually flip this in the 2-shield scenario. We go for the Psychic Fang straight away, and the opponent's gonna go for a Hydro Cannon pretty much straight away as well. And we do use a shield here, and I'm going to go for one extra, go for the Psychic Fangs on the CMP tie with this Swampert, and Psychic Fangs just takes out the Swampert there. So the opponent waits out the switch clock before coming in with the Shadow Quagsire. I'm going to go for another Psychic Fangs, potentially could have gone for the crunch there, as I don't expect them to throw on CMP once again, but they do end up expending their energy. Mud Bomb takes out my Lycanroc. We come in with Golisopod, and here I should have just overfarmed massively with my Golisopod, but now, yeah, like, this is just quite a poor play from me, because Fire Fang's obviously going to take them out there. They come back in with the Quagsire. We go for the Wild Charge. This will debuff my defense, meaning they only get 2 mud shots in, but I think they have a lot of residual energy here, so I'm going to use the shield at the last second. It is the Stone Edge, but they should just about outpace me to the Stone Edge here. We get to the back-to-back moves, but they're at the Stone Edge, and from this range, Stone Edge will be enough damage to take out my Golisopod. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. So all I had to do there was just stay in with Golisopod for just a few seconds there, farm up a bit of extra energy before swapping out into my Arcanine, which I know will easily Fire Fang, farm down the Ferrothorn. But into the next battle, we see Ferrothorn once again. Gonna save swap into Lycanroc, and we're met with a Jellicent, so I'm gonna go for a Crunch here, and this will be super effective, but unlike Shadow Ball from Lucario, it doesn't really threaten a shield there, so I'm gonna let this move go through. Surf will be enough damage to take me out. Now I come in with the Golisopod, and I know both moves are resisted. I'm not 100% sure if X-Scissor would take them out there, so I do go for the Liquidation just to guarantee the KO, and we do take out the Jellicent there. They come in with a Credilli. Now, I don't know what I was doing here. I go for a Liquidation. I also throw it on the CMP tie with the Grass Knot or the Rock Slide, but I'm going to use a shield at the last second. No, I let it through. It's actually a Stone Edge, and now I feel a lot better about this matchup, because Rock Slide, I think we just lose this game, but with Stone Edge, they're going to be a lot slower to the charge move, and now they come back in with the Ferrothorn. We fully Fire Fang, farm them down. They come back in with the Credilli. We Fire Fang, farm down the Credilli as well, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. Apologies if the commentary is a little bit off. It is literally 2 AM right now, so I'm so tired, barely awake, but I'm trying to get out this video as soon as possible. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.